So on this worksheet, we are obviously covering parallel and perpendicular lines. So you need to be careful with the instructions. It says write an equation in slope-intercept form. What is slope-intercept form? Y equals mx plus b. So this is what you want it to look like. You want it in y equals mx plus b form. That's what slope-intercept form is. Now, in order for you to write it in slope-intercept form, it would be great if they gave us a slope and a y-intercept, if they gave you an m and a b. But they do not give you an m and a b. What do they give you? They give you a point, right? It says the line passes through the given point. So on the first one, they're giving you 3, 2, and is parallel to the graph of the given equation. So on number 1, they give you a point, they give you an x value and a y value, and they tell you that your line is parallel, sorry, misspelled it, to that line. Now, what does it mean if lines are parallel? What? Same slope. So indirectly, ladies and gentlemen, indirectly, they're telling you that your slope is the same as this slope. And what is that slope? It's 1. Does that make sense? So what do they really give us right here on number 1? What do they really give us? Whoops, hold on a sec. So on number 1, indirectly, they give us a slope because they're telling us our line's parallel to that one, and they give us a point. So ladies and gentlemen, you said it yourself, they're giving us a point and a slope. So what form is it easiest to write in? Point-slope form. So let's write down our point-slope form equation. Y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. That's our point-slope form equation. So the best way to approach point-slope form equations when you're writing them, Nathan, is to rewrite your point-slope form equation, but with blank spots. That way you could easily plug in your y1 value, which is what? What belongs in here? 2 belongs right there. So there's your, there's your 2. And your m value belongs right here, which is, you know what? On the original, I always write m in blue. I'm sorry. Okay, so the m is 1, or 1 over 1. And your x1 value is what? 3. So ladies and gentlemen, we have written our point-slope form equation. But on the instructions, they want us to write it in slope-intercept. They don't want point-slope, they want slope-intercept. Now, slope-intercept, we know, is having y by itself with no parentheses, right? You want y by itself. You don't want y minus 2. You just want y equals, and you want mx plus b. You don't want parentheses. So how do you get rid of parentheses with the number in front? You distribute the number. So if you distribute 1 times x and 1 times negative 3, it's not going to change anything, right? So you're really going to have just 1x minus 3, and you still have the y minus 2 right in front. To get it in slope-intercept form, Andrea, what's my final step right here? I need to get rid of that what? The negative 2. How do I get rid of the minus 2? Plus 2 here, and plus 2 over here. So my slope-intercept form equation is y equals 1x minus 1. And if you check the answers on the back of this sheet, that's your answer, y equals 1x minus 1. Now, let's do a couple more of these. Number 2. They want it in slope-intercept form, and they tell us that our line is parallel. Now, if they tell you it's parallel, they're telling you that your line is going to have the same exact slope as this one. That's what parallel means. Parallel means same slope, same m value. So if they tell you, which they do tell you on the instructions, your line has to be parallel to this line, then indirectly they're giving you the m value. What's the m value? It's negative 4. Are you with me? And they also give you a point. And the point is negative 2 for x and 5 for y. So if they give you a point and if they indirectly give you a slope, what form are you going to use? Point slope. and point slope form is, there's my point slope form, and I recommend to always use blank spots like y minus blank spot equals blank spot parenthesis x minus blank spot. Our y1 value is 5, our m value is negative 4, and our x1 value is negative 2. The only other thing you could do is change the minus minus to plus plus, and that's your point slope form equation. If they told us write a point slope form equation, we'd be done right here. That's our point slope form equation. But they don't. They want slope intercept form. And slope intercept form is really y equals mx plus b. That's slope intercept form. So let's get this point slope form to look like this. So this one has y by itself, and it doesn't have parentheses. So I need this y by itself, and I need to get rid of these parentheses. So I am going to distribute the negative 4 times x is negative 4x. The negative 4 times positive 2 is negative 8. Bring down the equal sign, bring down the y and the minus 5. You almost have it in y equals mx plus b form. The only other thing to do, the last thing to do would be what? Add 5 to both sides. So we have y equals negative 4x minus 3. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your slope intercept form equation. Y equals negative 4x minus 3. That question, as well as many of these other questions, will be on the test Friday. Let's do one more to make sure we understand this. Again, let's label what they give us. They give us an x1, y1 value. They give us a point, and they also indirectly give us a slope because they tell us that our lines are parallel. So they give us an m, they give us a point. We're going to go with point slope form, and then we're going to change it to slope intercept form. Point slope form is y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. And let's plug it all in with the blank spots. And of course, when we plug in our values, our y1 value is negative 6, our x1 value is positive 4, our m value is negative 3/4. So there's our point slope form equation, but we still need to change it to slope intercept because they're asking for slope intercept. Okay? So you're going to have to change the minus minus to plus plus. Let's rewrite our equation. It's y plus 6 equals, now we have the option of distributing the negative 3/4 or getting rid of it by multiplying everything by 4. What do you guys feel like doing? You know, on the other videos, I've multiplied everything by 4. Do you guys want to see me distribute it so you can get a variety? Let's distribute it just to get a different angle. Now you could, if you wanted to, multiply the y by 4, the 6 by 4, and get a 24, and multiply this by 4, cancels out, then you're going to have to distribute the negative 3. But just to change it up, just to take a different path to the same place, I'm going to distribute negative 3/4 times x. That'll be negative 3/4 x. And then negative 3/4 times negative 4, that's going to be a positive. But what happens with the 4 down there and the 4 up here, they cancel out. So you really end up with a positive 3. Does that make sense? Or is that confusing and you'd rather me get rid of the fraction? Okay, so if that made sense, all I need to do now is subtract 6. Subtract 6 here, subtract 6 there. My final equation in slope intercept form is y by itself equals negative 3/4 x minus 3. And that's your slope intercept form equation. That's your answer. Now, let me take this original equation, and instead of distributing that minus 3/4, let me show you how we could have done it differently. Y plus 6 equals negative 3/4 times x minus 4. I could have multiplied everything by 4. This times 4, the 6 times 4, and this times 4. And this would have given you 4y plus 24 equals, the 4 cancels with the 4, and you're still going to have to distribute the negative 3 times the x minus 4. So you could have gotten rid of the fraction. If you wanted to not distribute the fraction, you could have gotten rid of the fraction. That way you only distribute the negative 3 times x and get negative 3x, negative 3 times negative 4 and get positive 12. Bring down the equal sign and have 4y plus 24. And now from there you'd still have to get y by itself. So you'd still have to subtract 24 and subtract 24, and then divide everything by 4, but you should get the same exact equation. That's totally up to you guys, whether you want to distribute the fraction or whether you want to get rid of the fraction by multiplying everything by 4. So if we look at the second half of our homework, I'm only going to do a couple of these. You guys are going to do the rest. Down here it says, write an equation in slope-intercept form, so you want y equals mx plus b, for the line that passes through the given point. So they obviously give you a point, and it's perpendicular to the graph of the given equation. So just like on the first part, it says parallel to, that tells you that they give you the slope indirectly. Right here, perpendicular, it's telling you what is perpendicular. It's opposite, reciprocal slopes. So they're giving you the slope, but indirectly. Whatever slope they have on their equation, you have to change the sign and flip the fraction. So let's take a look at number 13. Okay? So they give you a point. What point do they give you? X, Y, first one, and X1, Y1. And they also give you an equation over here. This equation right here, the only thing that we need to get out of this equation is our slope value. Now they tell us that our slope is going to be perpendicular to this slope. So our slope value is going to be the opposite reciprocal of that negative 1/3. So what is the opposite reciprocal of negative 1/3? 3. Excellent. So slope is 3. Now if we have a point, which we do, and we have a slope, which we do, what is the best option? Point slope. That's right. Point slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m parenthesis x minus x1. And let's actually rewrite this point slope form with blank spots so we could plug in our values. So our y1 value is negative 2, so let's put it right here into the y1 spot, negative 2. Our m value is positive 3. Our x1 value is negative 2. So this is our point slope form equation. Let's change the minus minuses to plus plus. If they asked us to write the equation in point slope form, we would be done right there. But they're asking us to write it in slope intercept form. Slope intercept form is y equals mx plus b. This is the form that we want. Now notice y is by itself, so we need to get this y by itself, and we don't want parentheses on this side, so we need to get rid of the parentheses. So how do we get rid of the parentheses? By distributing, correct? So if I distribute 3 times x, what do I get? 3x, and then 3 times 2? Positive 6. Let's bring down the rest, the equal sign, the y plus 2. We almost have y by itself. What do I need to do? Subtract 2, and actually,
y equals 3x plus 4.
That's the final answer. Y equals 3x plus 4. That is your slope intercept form equation. This is the line that'll actually pass through this line and will be perpendicular to this line. Let's do one more just for kicks here. Let me jump to a hard one like number 19. Okay, so once again, they're telling us, ladies and gentlemen, they're telling us that our line is perpendicular to this line. So this line right here, you don't even know the slope yet because this is a standard form equation. So let's first get it in slope intercept form so we could see the slope of the line that they give us. So let's subtract 4x. Subtract 4x, you're going to have a new equation that says 7y equals negative 4x plus 6. What's my final step in getting into slope-intercept form? Dividing by 7, dividing by 7, dividing by 7 cancels. Y equals negative 4 over 7x plus 6 over 7. That is a disgusting equation. And the only thing that we know so far is that this equation that they gave us is really this equation down here if it's rewritten from standard to slope intercept. Now, why did I rewrite it to slope intercept? So I could clearly identify the slope of this guy. And what is the slope? It's negative 4/7. Now on the instructions, it says that our line is perpendicular to this line. Now what does perpendicular mean? Opposite reciprocal. So our slope, our true slope of our line, not this line, our line is going to have an opposite, which means it's going to be positive, and reciprocal means that we're going to switch the 4 and the 7 and make it 7/4. So our slope is going to be positive 7/4. Are you with me? So now we know our slope, which is right here, and now we know our point, which was given to us. And now we can plug it all into what form if I have a point and I have a slope? Point slope. There is our point slope form. Let's rewrite it with blank spots. And let's plug in our values. The y1 value is what? 1. The m value, 7/4. That's what we got out of it being a perpendicular line to the one that they gave us, negative 4/7. And then the x1 value is what? Negative 4. And of course the negative changes to plus plus. That's our point slope form equation. If they told us to write the point slope form equation, we would be done. But they want us to change that point slope form into slope intercept form. So slope intercept obviously doesn't have parentheses. So we could distribute the fraction. Let's do that. Or you could get rid of the fraction. But since we're not asked to do it in standard form, I'm going to distribute it this time. So 7/4 times x is what? 7/4 x. Yes? How about 7/4 times positive 4? That's really just going to be a 7. Because if you put the 4/1, then technically the 4 on top cancels with the 4 on the bottom. These guys cancel out. So you just have a 7/1, which is just 7. I hope that makes sense to everybody. And we also have the equal sign, and we also have y minus 1 right there. Now it's almost in slope intercept form. All I have to do now is get the y by itself. So what do? Add 1 here, add 1 over there. Here's my final slope intercept form equation. Y equals 7/4 x plus 8. Ladies and gentlemen, this line right here, y equals 7/4 x plus 8. If you go to a graph and it crosses at 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, way up here, and from that point I go up 7/4, it's going to go like that. But that line will be perpendicular to the original line that they gave us, and it will pass through the coordinate -4, +1. So when they ask us to write the slope intercept form equation, it's really y equals 7/4 x plus 8. This will be on the test Friday, okay? As well as all the other questions I explained on this video. Please study.